Hello and good morning. You're watching the Business News brought to you by Blytheway. I'm Charlie Gibson. As we know, it is pretty much a golden rule in investing in commodities that if the commodity price goes up, then so will the equity price. Conversely, if the commodity price goes down, then the equity price will go down. And there has to be a pretty good reason if that doesn't happen, why it doesn't happen. Now, our next company, however, might be a case in point. For those eagle-eyed investors amongst you, you can't have helped but notice that the copper price has fallen by, well, give or take 10% since the end of March, so in the course of the last 4 months. And there are several reasons for that, not least the trade tiff going on between China and the United States. But against that, our next guest, the company that he represents, has a share price that has more than doubled. You could have bought this company at 19 cents, these are Canadian cents, per share in late March. They are now worth 46 cents. That's where they're trading at the moment. So as you can see, as the Americans will say, I'll let you do the math, but you've more than doubled your money in the space of about 4 months. The company has a market capitalization of about 125 million Canadian dollars. And it's traded in Vancouver, in Canada. And joining me now, all the way from Santiago in Chile, is its executive chairman, Fernando Porcile. Fernando, very good morning to you. Thank you very much indeed for joining us all the way from Santiago. Can you just start by telling us a little bit, for those who aren't familiar with your company, can you tell us a little bit about what it does, where it does it, and what it's hoping to achieve?
Well, Vizcachita is the main asset of our company. It's a company that has been exploring for many years, and we have just issued about a month ago a preliminary evaluation assessment regarding the Vizcachita ore body, where we have a very large ore body. We have more than 1.3 billion tons of ore, copper ore, with a copper content of about 0.4 and an equivalent copper value of about 0.48, because our ore contains mainly moly as a byproduct. And this is a very large ore body with many good and favorable conditions to be developed into a large operating mine in the near future. And I think this is very relevant. We are located in an area that is in the same chain of some of the larger ore bodies of southern Chile. We are between Pelambres, a large Antofagasta Minerals ore body, then Andina, probably the largest ore body of Codelco. We are close to Los Bronces from Anglo American and El Teniente. So we are in a very high, rich area of mining deposits. And the quality of our ore body also allow us to start a pretty large operation in the near future. So the PEA that was issued modify a little bit the mining model that we had, and we have shown and done a study with an engineering company valuing the alternative that we have to develop this ore body. And I think our present plan is to try to develop a pre-feasibility study by the end of next year. And this mine certainly has advantages. In addition to the grade of the ore, we have an ore that has a very coarse distribution of copper. We can achieve very high recoveries or very reasonable recoveries with not a very fine grinding. We don't have impurities. And we are located at an elevation of about 2,000 meters. That is very uncommon in the mining here in Chile, at least. And this make much easier the capital investment, lower capital investment compared to other. We are about 100 kilometers from power supply. We are about 25 kilometers from paved roads. We are located in an area where there is no population or any agricultural activity. And that makes our project with low requirements of infrastructure and also lower capital cost. So we are now working to be able to define, the area required for environmental permits and have by the end of next year our pre-feasibility study. We think that this is a very competitive with what is going on in the copper mining business right now. There are not many ore bodies that can be developed or have the quality of our assets, and I think that's the key thing of what is happening in the market. I mean, some people is recognizing the strength of our asset.
You mentioned there that you'd just done a preliminary economic assessment, a PEA, which you'd announced to the market. Could you just tell us some of the highlights from that PEA, things like the NPV, the IRR, the CapEx number? What does it look like in those sort of terms?
Yeah, the assessment at this time that the best alternative will be to develop an ore body, operating mine of around 110,000 tons per day of treatment capacity. That will allow more than 30 years or 40 years of mine life. The capital investment has been estimated in around 1.8 billion, close to that. And the NPV that is included there in the P&A is $1.8 billion. So we think that that's the preliminary assessment. We think that we can improve on that, and this is what we are trying to do now. Certainly, we have to define better the mining plan and the infrastructure that we need to develop. And we think that probably we have the opportunity to start with higher grade at the beginning. That will certainly decrease the initial capital investment, but not avoiding that the mine could increase the production at a later stage. So we can start with lower capital and a very reasonable return.
I see that you have recently reshuffled, if you like, your senior management team. Do you now have the team in place, do you think, that can drive this project forward to become operational over the course of the next few months and years? Is the final team in place?
Yes, certainly our company was up to the beginning of this year an exploration company, basically, and we have been very successful in defining and locating this ore body and defining the ore body. But now certainly we are in the stage that we need to define the project itself. And this is the reason why we have, the company has reassembled the team in such a way to give the key to the development that we have in this stage of the project. And fortunately, I have been elected to lead this team. I have quite a lot of experience in developing greenfield and brownfield projects. I was very much involved in the last 40 years in project development, such as Antamina, some of the Codelco operations, and the Noranda Falcon Bridge, and also Rio Algom. And also I have been involved in Argentina and in Peru in greenfield projects. So we have assembled a team that will be not a very large team. We are going to define very clearly what will be the design of what we are going to plan in the initial development of the project. And once we have that very well defined, we are going to to hire an engineering company to develop the details of the project. We think that we have to do initial development of big decisions of how we are going to develop, what will be the footprint, and so on and so forth. We think that we can develop a very reasonable project. As I say, this ore body has the quality of to be very uniform porphyry copper with very high grades, and we can have a relatively coarse grinding that will lower the operating cost, and that will give us some advantages in the tailing disposal and also in the water consumption. So as any new project, we have to be very careful and very detailed in analyzing the impact on the environment and protect, and be socially acceptable to develop this project.
In terms of news flow, announcements, milestones, what can we expect to see from Los Andes in the course of the next 6 months or so?
Well, in the next 6 months, we expect to be able to define the printout of the project, to define, the very relevant things like the location of the plant, the sizing of the initial development of the project, and this is our aim, to be able to define in the next 6 months, and have relevant information and more detailed information, and then by the end of the next year to have all the information for at the level of a pre-feasibility study. There will be require some drilling, not very lot of drilling, mainly condensation drilling and some infill drilling, but basically the main work will be related to improve the mining plan in detail and to improve the plant design as far as grinding and equipment design and so on and so forth. So we think that we have the information available, that we have to do this initial work, and as I say, by about 6 months from now, we should have very detailed news of how we are going to develop the project.
All right, Fernando, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for, but thank you very much indeed. We wish you the very best of luck, and we look forward to hearing more from your project as the months roll by. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Fernando Porcile, the Executive Chairman of Los Andes Copper, joining me there all the way from Santiago in Chile. As I say, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today. We'll be looking to bring you more such investing opportunities over the course of the next few days and weeks. But until then, this is me, Charlie Gibson, signing off for the Business News brought to you by Blytheway. Until then, you have a very capital day.